Hello, everyone, and welcome you all to another chapter of the logo design using Photoshop and Illustrator. So now we are on our chapter number 2, where I'll be showing you guys by making a logo using shape in Photoshop. So using shape, if you do want to create any kind of logo for any company, you guys will have a great idea in this particular chapter. So let's not waste time and let's get started. So over here on my screen, as you guys can see now, this is the home page of Photoshop. And from here, now you guys can see all the recent works which I did is right over here underneath. So if you don't want to open anything up, you guys can come here and open it from the recent files. So the first thing is you about creating up a new file. Okay, so to create up a new document or a new file in which you will work, you need to come here, click on the new file. Otherwise, you guys can go in the top menu bar, and from there itself, you guys can actually create one. Okay, from file, you go to new, and from there, you can click on new document. So now here you guys already have a basic idea about how to create a file, but now I'll be telling you guys about the size in which you are going to work on. Okay. So for me, now let's name this one as the shape logo. Okay. So I will just name this file as shape logo. And for the sizes, instead of centimeters, I'm going to use pixels. Okay. And here for logo design, I will take a pixel of 800 into 800. Okay, so the width and the height is going to be 800 right over here, and you guys can see what is going to be the resolution. Okay, so I will just go with pixel centimeter, and here I will take out the RGB color mode. If you do want to take out the CMYK, you guys can also do that. Let me just keep this one at 8-bit, and I want a white background. And once you're done, let's click on create. And here you guys can see that I do have this particular place where I will be working on with my logo. Okay, so over here, now just come to your properties panel on the right hand side, and over here make sure that you do have your smart guide on. Okay, so this is the smart guide, and if you do have used Photoshop before, you will get a better idea about how important the smart guide is. Okay, and also if you do want to put on rulers to get a better understanding to keep your logo in the center, make sure to come here and click on view rulers, and after that you guys can just set out a ruler quite like this. Okay, so let's come here and let me just put out a ruler over here, and the same way let's come down, let's put up a ruler over here again, and also for the sides let's put it over here, and also let's come here and let's put this right over here as well. Okay, so now I do have created some space on the sides because I don't want to go onto the edges while creating my logo. So it is always better that you just set up the space inside which you don't know work. So now the next thing is I want to create a shape in which I will modify that shape later and I will work with that. Okay, so if you do want to find out some color palettes, there are different ways of how you will be able to do that. So basically you guys can go to directly to the colors, and from here you guys can choose. And here you guys can see there are already a lot of swatches which you can use. Okay. But if you don't want to do it from here, I will show you guys about different websites which you can use over here itself. Okay, so let me come here, and now let me come here onto my toolbar. And here in my toolbar, you guys will be able to see that there is this rectangle tool. Just right click on your mouse, and underneath you guys can see there are also different tools. Okay, so let's say from here I am going to take out the ellipse tool, and if I do want to create an ellipse just from the middle itself, let's say if I click over here, you guys can see I can change the proportion over here. But now what I want to do is I want to create a shape, or I want to create a circle right over here in which I will be able to get it from the center. So let's delete this one. And from here, once you're trying to create it, make sure to click on shift over here, and let's try to create up a circle. Okay. So now over here, you guys can see I do have a circle over here. Again, if you do want to create again, you guys can click here and you guys can create. So now let me just take out my selection tool. Otherwise, let's go to my layers. Okay. And if you don't see your layers panel right over here, make sure to put it just onto the side. Let me open up my layer panel. Let me increase it and let me just place it right over here. And once I have selected this ellipse, you guys can just move this ellipse up over here itself, and let's try to place it over here in the center. Okay, so this is basically the usage of the smart guide, because it will show you that your icon is there in the middle or not. Okay, so this is about the background. And the next thing what you are going to do over here is, so now from here again I will go in my toolbar, and from my toolbar here you guys can see that I do have my pen tool. Okay, so from here basically you guys can select up your pen tool, and once you have selected this particular pen tool, now over here you will be drawing out a shape. Okay, so to create that particular shape, now over here let's say I will just click over here, and let me just go back using Control Z. And after that, over here, I will come on top. Okay. And if you don't see this particular option on top of your Photoshop, make sure to go to your Windows, make sure to go to your workspace and go to Essentials right from here. Okay. So this is the default page. And over here, you need to make sure that you want to create up a path. Okay. So I want to create a shape, which is a path. And also just come here and make sure to select the combine shapes option. Okay, so now just come right over here, and now let me just create up a shape. And from here, now let's take out a shape over here as well. And the same way, let me come here, let me just create a different shape. And also the same way, let's come right over here. And after that, let's try to get up a line from here itself. And also let's try to adjust this particular line right over here. Okay. And once you're done with this particular part, if you want to give this thing up a color, okay, you guys can come here and you guys can just give this one up a color as well. Okay, so to do that, let's come here, let's take my selection tool and let's select this shape. And from here, if you do want to give this one up a different color, let's say I will just choose this shape, or let me just take out a color right from here, and the total thing will basically get colored. Okay, so if you do want to go back on before this only, let's try to take out a color. And let me just show you guys about a website. Okay, so I'll just go to Google Chrome from here. And if I just go to Chrome, let's come here and you guys can type color hunt. Okay, so click on color hunt, and I need to check my Wi-Fi over here. Oh, I have turned it off. Okay, so now I will just turn my Wi-Fi on. And now here, let's roll this one up, and here you guys can see that in color hunt, if I just click over here, I will get a lot of color options. Okay, so you guys can choose what colors are you looking for over here. Okay, so again, if I come here, let me take or go to my Photoshop, and from here, now let's take my rectangle tool and let's click on shift, and I will just take out this shape. And after that, again, I will just take this one. Let's select this particular shape over here. And now I'm going to duplicate this particular layer right over here. If you do want to do it in a different layer, you guys can come here and you guys can basically do it in a different layer right over here. If you do want to add up a layer, let's come here. Let's add a new layer. And in this new layer, now I will just take this rectangle. And the same way, let's come here, let's click on Alt, and I will just duplicate this rectangle right over here as well. Okay, so let's come here. And now if I do want to copy this one, or I want to copy the code, okay, I will just click over here and this is copied. Let's go to Photoshop, and now here let's go to color. And if you do want to give out any color, if you do want to apply that, you guys can do it right from here. Otherwise, if you don't see, you guys can go to Windows, and from Windows make sure to on the color option, which was already on over here. Let's come here onto the color options, and here you guys can actually search. Okay, so let's double click over here and Control V, and now I do have that particular color right over here. And the same way, if I do want to put that out in the swatches, let's click on my eyedropper tool, and exactly I can just paste out this particular color which I have. Okay, so if you do want any kind of feel, okay, you guys can actually do that right over here. Let's go back. Otherwise, let's come here and let's paste it again. Okay, so if I just take out this shape and Control V, and I will just click on OK. Let's take my selection tool. Let's select this one up. And underneath here, under the appearance option as well, you guys can just take out a color. Control V over here. And if I just click on enter, you guys can see that I do have a different color. So same way, just click on Alt and duplicate this one. Okay, so just come here, make sure to duplicate this one. And if you do want to maintain the same line, let's click on this one right over here, this particular rectangle. And what you're gonna do is let's go to fill, and from here I want to take out this color. So I have copied this particular code. I'll go to Photoshop, and here you guys can see I do have another rectangle box. And over here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here. Let's go to this color swatches and Control V to paste it. And I'll just click on OK, and this have changed its color as well. So let me just put out this color for this particular ellipse. Let's click on to the ellipse option over here. So now this particular ellipse is being selected. And now let's take my eyedropper tool, and now let's select this color, and let's try to put this particular color right over here itself. Okay, so now here you guys can see that I do have given out this color to this ellipse as well. So the next thing over here is let's go to properties, and under properties from here again I will take my pen tool. Okay, so using pen tool I will just create up a small shape. Okay, so over here let's come, and now let's try to get out some shapes over here. Okay, so let's come here, and also right over here let me just put out a shape. Okay, so now I will just put out a shape over here, and now again I'll just come here on top, and I will just click on subtract from shape. Okay, so now here you guys can see this particular place is being subtracted from the shape. So now again over here using my pen tool, I will just draw another shape. Let's come right over here, and from here I will just draw up a shape. And the same way, let's come here and let's put up a shape over here. And also I will just join this one right over here as well. Okay, and once you have applied this one over here, now the next thing what you're going to do is take your selection tool and make sure to select this layer. And after that, you guys can go to this add a layer style option. Okay, so once you go to add a layer style option, from here you need to go to the gradient overlay. Okay, so once you click on gradient overlay right over here, you guys can see that you do have a lot of blending mode. So according to yourself, you need to choose one. Okay, and now instead of linear style in my gradient, I will go with the radial style. Okay, so now I will come over here, I will just click on the gradient as one, and I can just choose the color which I am going to choose. Okay, so over here, if I want to take this color as my gradient, let's click on OK. And last, I'll come here, and now if I just double click here, you guys will be able to see that I will just take out this color. Okay, so let me just click on OK over here. Let me just move this one up, and this is how it actually looks right now. So I'll just take this one as a solid color, and I'll just keep the smoothness as 100. And once this is done here, I can actually scale up the color. Okay, so how much do I want to put out that particular shape? I will be able to do that. Or what is going to be the angle over here? I can also choose the angle of the color as well. So if you do want to scale it up, if you do want it more on the red side, you guys can actually choose that right over here. Okay, so once this particular part is done, once you're happy with this one, let's click on OK over here, and the outline of the shape is being applied. So now once this is applied, let me take my pen tool again. But now in this pen tool, I am going to change the path to shape. Okay, so over here now I'm going to draw out some shapes over here. Let's come to this particular point, and over here let me just make out some changes. And the same way, let's come over here, and also I will just draw up a shape quite like this. Otherwise, just go back step by step, and directly if you want to come here and if you do want to create a shape, you guys can actually do that. Okay, so directly right from here you guys can do that. Otherwise, if you do want to make any changes, you guys can actually make those changes right from here itself. Okay, so let me just come over here, and now over to this particular point. Okay, let's come here, and over on this particular point, if you do want to adjoin this over here, you guys can actually do that right over here itself. Okay, so if you do want to create up a shape quite like this, you guys can also do that. And the same way, just come over here, and also at this particular point, you guys can just get a shape. Let's come right over here. Okay, let's come right over here, and also at this particular point, you guys can again create up a shape of your own. Okay, so you guys can just come here. Let me just create up a shape again. So let's come here. You guys can just take out your own time over here for creating that shape, and let me just uh, put out that shape in total right over here. Okay, so if you do have some problem, you guys can just take it, and it totally depends up to or what kind of style you are creating. Okay, and lastly, let's come here. Otherwise, let's go back, and if I just click on escape, here you guys will see that I'm not able to create up a shape right over here. So let's go back again. Let's come back right over here. Let's come to this point, and from this point, let me just create up a style. Let me just put out this point over here, and let me just create up a shape. So in that case, now what I'm gonna do is lastly I'm gonna come right over here. Okay, or let's say I do have created this point over here. Let's take my selection tool, and I will just select this one layer. But now let's go to my layer panel, and I'm going to put all of this just underneath. Okay, so in the same way, if I do need to move this one around a little bit over here, that I can just move this one around as well. So the same way, I will just put this one under this ellipse panel as well. Let me just move this one right over here, and you guys can move. So the same way, let me just create up another shape. Let's take my pen tool, and with my pen tool, let's come here and let's create up a design. Let's come here, and also let's adjoin this one. And lastly, once you are done, let's take my selection tool. Again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna just put this one right down. Okay, so now here the shape 3 is also under this one. So for all these three layers, the shape 1, shape 2 and shape 3, again what I need to do is I need to come here into my layers. Let's go to this adjustment layer. From here also I will just go to gradient overlay, and you guys can see how it actually works. Okay, so I do have the gradient overlay right over here, and you guys can see that how much do you want to scale it up. Okay, let's say if I do want to scale it up totally, or let me just go with 120, and let's click on OK right over here. And what I can do is I can come here into this particular shape, and you guys can basically choose out this particular layer. Let's go to properties, and here this will basically act as a mask. Okay, so if you do want to come here on top, if you want to work with the shape path, you guys can do that. And if you do want to add out any feather, you guys can come here and you guys can add this one as a feather as well. So now I am here in the shape number 2. Okay, so in the shape number 2, the same way, let's go to this gradient overlay, and from gradient overlay let's click right over here. This is also applied. Lastly, let's come here in the shape number 1, and the same way I will just apply the gradient overlay right over here itself. Okay, so the gradient overlay is being applied over here as well. And all of these three shape, if you don't want the stroke over here in this particular shape, just click over here, go to this adjustment layer, let's go to stroke, and from stroke you guys can just decrease the size of stroke to 1. Okay, and also let me just put this one outside. Okay, so if you do want to put it outside, you guys can also do that for the stroke. Okay, so over here you guys can see I have actually worked on with the stroke, and once you're done you guys can click on OK right over here. You guys can see this outline is basically done. Okay, and now the next thing is, let's come here, let's take my pen tool, and over here now I will be creating some design. Okay, let's come here, and now let's place it right over here, and let's place it over here as well. And now here you guys can see how it actually looks. So I do have this particular shape, but now I do want to give this one up a different color. Okay, so for that let's come to this shape, and from this particular shape let's try to give this shape up a different color. Okay, so if you do want to do that, let's come here and let's select a green color. And once you have given up this green color, now let's take my selection tool, and the same way I will just click on Alt and I will just duplicate this one. And also after selecting this one, if you do want to give this thing up a rotation, you guys can come here and you guys can actually give this thing up a rotation. Or if you do want to flip it, you guys can come here and you guys can actually flip this one as well. So let's come here, and from here now I will just select this one, and if I just click on Control T, you guys will see that now I can actually change this one. Okay, so let me just come here in one particular side, and once you're done over here, let me just place it somewhere right over here. And if you do want to make any changes, you guys can come here and you guys can make changes. Let's click on Alt. Okay, I will just transform this one, and over here let's click on Alt, let's duplicate this one, and over here let's delete this shape. Let's come here, let's click on Control T to transform again. And if you do want to give this thing up a rotation, you guys can come here and you guys can actually give this thing up a rotation as well. Okay, so if it was quite like this, okay, it was around like this, let me just bring it right over here, and now you guys can just give up a rotation according to yourself. Okay, So now after giving this rotation, this is how it looks. And here you guys can see that you do have a great logo right over here. And also if you do want to select these layers, let's say I will just delete this one. Let's select this one and let's delete this layer. Here you guys can see that you do have your logo over here as well. Okay. And under shape, okay, if you do want to come here and if you do want to decrease it, okay, if you do want to decrease the opacity, you guys can come here and you guys can actually increase the feather, okay, of this particular place. And the same way, let's decrease the feather of this one, and the same way let's select this one and let's increase the feather of this particular thing as well. Let's decrease the feather, and from here you guys can just decrease the density, or it is actually decreasing the density of the whole thing in total. So now let's select this layer. So over here, you need to understand that what the problem is. Okay. So over here, if I just put this one over here in one side, and now let me just create up a shape. Okay. So now again, let's take my pen tool. Let's come here. Let's try to create up a shape. Okay. Let's try to create up a shape over here. And also let's try to create up a shape over here as well. Let's adjoin this one. And now the last thing is, let's click on Control T. And what you can do is you guys can just move this one thing a bit onto the side. Okay. So let's come over here and let me just place this over here in one particular side. And if you do want to decrease the size as well, you guys can come here and decrease the size as well. So let me click on enter. And now over here, you guys can just increase the feather of this one over here. Okay, let's say if you do want to increase the feather, you guys can also do it over here itself. Okay, so here you guys can see now I am done with the logo. If you do want to put out some shadows, in that case, you need to come here, you need to choose your brush tool. And after taking the brush tool, right over here, let me just take out a new layer. Okay, so I'll just take up a new layer and let me just decrease the size of my brush, okay, which is around this. And let me just select what is going to be the width as well. Okay, so over here now let me just increase the size up a little bit, and also I will just decrease the hardness to 50. And over here you guys can just click here once. Otherwise, let's go with a black color over here for the shadows. And I can just click here and I can just create up a shadow quite like this. And if you do want to increase the size, let's say I will just increase the size of my brush, let's say 250. And like that, I will just click here once. And here you guys can see a shadow is being applied over here as well. Okay, so you need to make sure that this one kind of looks good. So this one actually looks like a shadow. And now if you do want to add on some text, so here now I will just click on to the text option over here. And now I will just decrease the size of the text. Let me just go with 18. And after that, I can just type orange, or let's come over here. And for the color, let me just take out a dark color. So I will just type orange LTD. Okay, so I'll just type this thing down. And over here, what I can do is I can just choose what kind of font I want to use. Let's select this one. And for font, let's come here. Let's take out this particular font. Okay, and what I can do is I can just place this one accordingly. So let's select this text and let's click on Control T to select it. And lastly, here you guys can just place this particular logo right over here. And once you are done, you can just apply it right over here. So now here you guys can see my logo is basically done. If you do want to work more Okay, you guys can come here and you guys can basically work more right over here as well. Let's say if you do want to add some branches and stuff, let's come here, let's go to my pen tool. Okay, so let me just take my pen tool right over here, and I'll just turn off my caps. And over here now, at this particular point, let's select this one, and now I will just click on OK. And let me just give this one up a brown color. Okay, so for color, I will just go right over here and I will just try to search for a brown color. Okay, so let me come here, and here you guys can see that you can apply this particular brown color right over here itself. Okay, so let me come here. Let me just click on Control T, or let me just go here onto the properties panel, and you guys can actually give some color to that layer. So if you just go to this layer, okay, if you do want to add up a solid layer, you guys can also do that. But if you just want to color this thing up, you guys can come here and let me just select this layer. So I do have selected this layer. Let's go to fill, and from here let me just take out this brown color. Let's click on enter, and here you guys can see this logo is basically ready. Okay, so if you need to make any changes, just select that layer, Control T, and if you do want to give this one up a simple rotation, you guys can come here and you guys can just give this one up a simple rotation. So very easily you guys can just get started over here. If you don't want any font, or let's say if you don't want any stroke for that, Control T again, and now here you guys can actually choose this one, no font. Otherwise you guys can increase the feather and decrease the density of this shape into your shape layer as well. Okay, so now I will just click right over here and let's select this. And if you do want to apply more effect or more saturation or more brightness, you guys can do that. But for now, I hope this is clear of how you will be able to create up a simple logo. And now to save this file up, let's go to file. From here, let's click on export. And from export, let's click on quick export as PNG. Make sure to choose the shape. Let's go to desktop. Let's save it here in my resource file, and I will just click on save. And this particular file will be saved in my system as a shape logo. So using shape, you guys can create a lot of things, and especially using the pen tool if you do know how to use this properly with the right thing. Okay. So now here, if you do want to save out the PSD file, let's go to file. From the menu bar, from here, let's click on save as, and I will just go to desktop. I will select this one and I'll just save out the PSD file, and I need to click on OK over here in this compatibility window. I will click on OK, and this is being saved as well. Later on, if you need to change anything, if you feel, you guys can come here and you guys can actually change those as well. So yeah, I hope to see you all in the next chapter. Till then, take care and goodbye, everyone.